She thought this flight would be routine, but from the moment Maya stepped on board, the air was charged with a quiet tension she didn't yet understand. Maya walks down the airplane jet bridge, a soft smile on her face. She's dressed casually in a light blue sweater, fitted jeans, and white sneakers. Her dark curly hair is pulled back loosely, strands framing her face softly. She carries a small handbag over her shoulder. The cabin is bright and bustling. Passengers settle into their seats, overhead bins click shut, and the murmurs of conversations fill the air. Maya reaches her window seat, row 14, seat A, and places her handbag gently under the seat. She slides into her chair and fastens her seatbelt, glancing outside where the runway stretches into the distance beneath the soft morning light. Her breath is calm, hopeful. She smiles faintly, thinking, just a few hours of peace. Then I'll be home. A flight attendant in a Navy uniform, Victoria, walks past down the aisle, attending to other passengers. She glances briefly Maya's way, but her expression is unreadable. Maya reaches into her bag, pulling out a book and settling in. Her fingers trace the cover as the plane hums softly, engines warming. The flight's soft chatter continues, a child giggles 2 rows up, someone stifles a yawn, and the captain's voice crackles over the intercom, welcoming everyone on board. Maya looks out the window one last time before turning back to her book. The scene fades with Maya's calm, unaware that soon she'll need help, and soon, that help won't come. She pressed the button once. No response. Twice. Still silence. The flight attendant walked past like she didn't exist. Every second that passed tightened the knot in Maya's chest. What was supposed to be a simple request was becoming something far worse. Maya's hand hovers over the call button beside her seat. The small light blinks quietly, signaling a request for assistance. She presses it once, then glances down the aisle. The flight attendant, Victoria, moves past other passengers, her expression professional but distant. Maya's eyes meet hers for a brief second, and Victoria looks away, walking briskly onward without stopping. The call button's light continues blinking. Maya waits, swallowing the growing lump in her throat. She presses the button again, more urgently this time. Passengers nearby glance at her blinking light. A few shift uncomfortably but return to their own business. Victoria passes by again, this time pausing just a fraction longer, but still no acknowledgement. She smiles politely at another passenger but does not look toward Maya's seat. Maya's fingers tighten around the armrests. Her breathing quickens as the seconds tick by, the soft hum of the plane now feeling suffocating. Her thoughts race. Why won't she come? Is it me? What if I need help and no one hears? She looks around, hoping for a friendly face, but most passengers are busy with phones or conversations. A nervous tension fills the cabin air, a feeling of being invisible in plain sight. Maya presses the call button once more, the blinking light now insistent. Victoria's footsteps fade down the aisle. The cabin noise continues, but Maya feels the weight of silence pressing down harder than ever. She called out quietly, hoping for a simple response. Instead, the silence stretched, thick and cold. The flight attendant's footsteps echoed past her seat, untouched by her need. Maya's heart pounded louder than the engines, the cabin felt colder, emptier, and suddenly, she was utterly alone. Maya's eyes dart anxiously down the aisle. The flight attendant, Victoria, continues her rounds, attending to other passengers with practiced efficiency but deliberately avoiding Maya's seat. Maya presses the call button again, more urgently this time, the blinking light an urgent beacon. She shifts in her seat, trying to catch Victoria's eye as the attendant passes by. But Victoria's gaze remains fixed forward, her posture rigid and unyielding. A nearby passenger glances at Maya's blinking call light, then away, engrossed in a book. The air feels heavier with each passing moment. Maya's breath quickens. Her thoughts spiral. Is this how it's going to be? Ignored, unseen? What if I really need help? What if something happens and no one's there? The tension in the cabin thickens, whispers and murmurs of conversation seem distant, disconnected from Maya's silent plea. Her fingers tremble slightly as she clenches the armrests. Her heart races as seconds crawl by. Finally, Victoria walks past Maya's row once more, this time with a slight glance but no sign of stopping. The silence is deafening. Maya exhales shakily, the knot in her stomach tightening. She knows she can't stay silent much longer. Every ignored call felt like another stone added to the weight on her chest. Maya's hope flickered, then nearly died. The flight attendant's cold avoidance wasn't just neglect, it was a message. And the cabin's eyes, too, began to shift with uneasy whispers. What happens when help becomes silence? Maya presses the call button repeatedly now, the blinking light a persistent plea in the quiet cabin. She shifts uncomfortably, trying to appear calm, but her eyes betray her growing anxiety. Passengers nearby start to notice, some glance at her with curiosity, others with indifference, and a few with discomfort. Maya catches the eye of a woman across the aisle, a middle-aged passenger who looks concerned but hesitant to intervene. Victoria moves purposefully down the aisle, her face tight, avoiding Maya's gaze entirely. Maya's heart pounds faster. Her breaths come shorter. Her mind races. Why won't anyone help me? Is it something about me? Am I invisible? What if I can't wait any longer? She looks around desperately for someone to notice, someone to care. Her fingers tremble as she clenches the armrests tighter. The ambient noise of the cabin, the muffled conversations, the rustling of newspapers, feels distant and unreal. Suddenly, Maya catches a glimpse of the teenager sitting 2 rows ahead, his phone discreetly raised, eyes fixed on the flight attendant's indifferent walk. The tension thickens. Maya's eyes fill slightly with tears she refuses to shed. Her call button blinks again, more insistently. When silence becomes unbearable, sometimes hope comes from the most unexpected places. As Maya's pleas go unanswered, a stranger decides to break the quiet. What starts as a small act of kindness will soon ignite a wave no one saw coming. The teenager, named Alex, shifts in his seat and lowers his phone. He glances around, noticing the ignored call light blinking persistently on Maya's seat. Without hesitation, Alex leans over and whispers, "Hey, are you okay? You've been trying to get help for a while." Maya nods quietly, her voice barely audible. "I need water, and some medicine." Alex frowns, glancing down the aisle at Victoria. "I'll try to get her attention for you." He stands and approaches the flight attendant, politely but firmly explaining. "Excuse me, that passenger has been trying to get help. Could you please assist her?" Victoria barely looks at him, her tone curt. "I'm busy right now." "She can wait." Alex's jaw tightens, but he returns to Maya's seat. "She says she's busy, but I don't think that's fair." Maya grips her armrests tighter, fighting tears but staying composed. The cabin feels heavy with unspoken tension. Passengers begin to glance more frequently toward the exchange. When the simple need for help turns into a struggle for survival, every ignored plea becomes a battle cry. Maya's discomfort grows, unnoticed by those who should care, but the silent witness of a few won't let the story fade. Maya shifts uneasily in her seat, a faint sheen of sweat appearing on her brow. Her breathing becomes shallower as the discomfort intensifies. She reaches again for the call button, pressing it with more urgency. Alex watches her anxiously, sensing the change. The flight attendant, Victoria, continues to move down the aisle, attending other passengers but purposefully avoiding Maya's seat. Nearby passengers whisper, their eyes flicking uneasily between Maya and the indifferent crew. Maya's hand trembles as she tries to sit upright, but a wave of dizziness makes her clutch the armrests. Alex pulls out his phone quietly, aiming it discreetly at the flight attendant. He whispers, "If she doesn't get help soon, this could get serious." The cabin grows tense, the atmosphere thickens with unease. When neglect risks lives, silence shatters. The crew's indifference can no longer be ignored. Behind the scenes, a decision is made, and what was once ignored is now urgent. Alex approaches a nearby flight attendant quietly, his voice low but firm. "The passenger in row 14 is unwell. She's been ignored for too long. The captain needs to know." The attendant's face tightens, a flicker of concern breaking through her professional mask. She nods and heads toward the cockpit. Minutes later, the captain's calm voice crackles over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a medical situation on board. Please remain calm as our crew attends to the matter." Back near Maya's seat, Victoria finally pauses and looks toward Maya. Her face tightens, but she forces a polite smile as she approaches. Maya's heart races, a mix of relief and anxiety flooding her. The moment she was finally seen, it wasn't kindness that greeted Maya, but a begrudging duty. The flight attendant's coldness cut sharper than the medicine she brought. What should have been care felt like a punishment. Victoria steps toward Maya's seat, her steps slow and deliberate. Her face is composed but tight with irritation. "What do you need?" she asks curtly, barely meeting Maya's eyes. Maya swallows hard, voice soft but steady. "Water, please. And my medication." Victoria's lips press together as she turns briefly away, then returns with a small cup of water and a packet of tablets. Her hands are steady but her tone is clipped as she places them on Maya's tray table. Maya nods and thanks, but the flight attendant barely acknowledges it, quickly moving away to attend to other passengers. Maya sips the water slowly, her hands still trembling. Her eyes flicker with quiet pain, but she stays calm, determined not to show weakness. Nearby passengers exchange uneasy glances, some whisper words of sympathy, others shake their heads in frustration. The cabin's hum feels heavier, charged with the unspoken tension of neglect and endurance. Her silent struggle didn't go unnoticed. What was ignored by one sparked quiet concern in many. Whispers grew, eyes watched, and slowly, the cabin began to rally, a quiet resistance against neglect. A middle-aged woman seated a few rows away leans toward her companion, whispering with concern. "Did you see how long she waited for help? That poor girl." A teenager nearby watches Maya intently, clutching his phone. He subtly starts recording the scene, capturing Victoria's dismissive attitude. Another passenger, a man in business attire, shifts uncomfortably, glancing toward the flight attendant with disapproval. Maya's breathing steadies after taking her medication, but the discomfort is still visible. Alex, the teenager, whispers to a nearby passenger. "This isn't right. She deserves better." The murmurs spread as more passengers become aware, their expressions a mix of sympathy and frustration. Victoria moves past, her posture rigid but aware of the growing attention. What was once silent grew louder. Passengers who had watched in quiet discomfort found their voices, questioning, confronting. The cabin's uneasy whispers turned into a chorus demanding respect, care, and accountability. A passenger near the front leans toward the aisle, speaking loudly enough for nearby rows to hear. How can she just ignore someone in need? This isn't right. The middle-aged woman nods firmly, adding, "It's not just neglect, it's cruel." Alex holds up his phone, showing video footage to a few curious passengers. "Look, she's been waiting over 10 minutes with no real help. This isn't acceptable." Some passengers begin whispering to each other, sharing their own observations and discomfort with the flight attendant's behavior. Victoria catches snippets of the conversation, her jaw tightening but her face remaining composed. A woman a few rows behind calls out quietly but firmly. "Flight attendant, please do your job. People's health matters." The cabin's atmosphere shifts from passive observation to active concern. Passengers glance around, some ready to speak up, others simply watching, waiting. The quiet was broken, and with it, the flight attendant's patience snapped. The once cold dismissal morphed into sharp words and harsh looks. What was a call for help became a confrontation, and the cabin felt the heat of rising tension. Victoria's eyes flash with irritation as whispers turn into open remarks from passengers. She steps forward firmly, her voice cutting through the cabin. "This is my cabin. I will manage it as I see fit. Your comments are uncalled for." Passengers fall silent momentarily, surprised by her sudden outburst. Maya's gaze drops, the growing tension settling heavy in her chest. A few passengers exchange uneasy glances but remain seated. Alex looks up from his phone, frowning but keeping silent. The cabin feels charged, the atmosphere thick with discomfort and uncertainty. Victoria's expression hardens as she turns her back and strides down the aisle, leaving an air of unresolved conflict behind. The storm inside the cabin raged on, but Maya's silent struggle grew heavier. Ignored and alone, her body began to betray her. The fight for help became a fight for survival, even as tension simmered around her. Maya's face pales, a sheen of sweat glistens on her forehead. Her breathing grows shallow and uneven. She grips the armrests tightly, trying to stay composed despite the rising dizziness. Her eyes flutter briefly, signaling distress. Nearby passengers notice and exchange concerned looks, whispering softly. Alex leans in slightly, his phone lowered but ready. Victoria has moved away, her posture rigid but her eyes occasionally flicker back toward Maya. The cabin feels suffocating, the hum of the engines and quiet conversations fade beneath the weight of Maya's worsening state. Maya presses the call button again, her hand trembling with urgency. When desperation becomes visible, silence shatters. Maya's urgent plea finally pierced the veil of neglect, forcing a reckoning no one could ignore. Maya presses the call button with trembling fingers, the light blinking insistently now. Her face tightens, sweat beading on her temple as dizziness threatens to overwhelm her. Alex watches closely, voice low but urgent to a nearby passenger. She needs help, now. The flight attendant Victoria, still focused elsewhere, finally glances toward Maya's blinking light. The captain's voice interrupts over the intercom, calm but firm. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain calm. We have a medical situation on board. Crew is attending to the passenger. Victoria approaches Maya's seat, her expression unreadable but her steps quicker than before. Maya breathes shallowly, eyes fixed ahead, as relief and anxiety mingle within her. Help arrived, but it was cold and begrudging. Maya's silent suffering had finally been noticed, yet the warmth she needed was nowhere to be found. Victoria approaches Maya's seat, her expression tight and lips pressed thin. She holds out a small cup of water and a packet of medication, setting them on Maya's tray table with minimal eye contact. Her voice is clipped as she says, "Here. Take these." Maya nods softly, swallowing a dry breath as she reaches for the water. Nearby passengers watch quietly, some exchanging worried glances. The cabin feels heavy with unspoken judgment. Victoria steps back quickly, already moving on to attend other passengers, leaving Maya to manage alone. As neglect stretched on, concern blossomed among those who witnessed. The flight attendant's coldness only fueled a quiet rebellion, a call for dignity amidst indifference. Passengers nearby begin to murmur amongst themselves, exchanging worried glances. A middle-aged woman leans toward her seatmate, whispering, "Did you see how she was treated? That's not right." Alex, the teenager, discreetly shows a video on his phone to a few passengers, capturing Victoria's dismissive behavior. The murmurs grow louder, blending into a low hum of disapproval. Maya's breathing steadies after taking the medication, but her discomfort remains visible. Victoria notices the growing attention but maintains a cold, professional demeanor, avoiding eye contact. A man a few rows back mutters quietly, "Someone should say something." The silence broke, replaced by a bold voice. The cabin held its breath as one passenger dared to challenge the cold neglect, sparking a wave of courage that could no longer be ignored. A woman sitting across the aisle from Maya clears her throat and speaks firmly. "Excuse me, flight attendant, but ignoring a passenger in need isn't acceptable." Victoria turns sharply, her eyes narrowing as she responds curtly, "I'm managing the cabin. Please mind your own business." The woman's voice rises slightly, gaining strength from nearby passengers who nod and murmur in agreement. "We all saw how long she waited. This isn't right." Maya looks up, hope flickering in her eyes amidst the tension. Alex quietly continues recording, capturing the confrontation. Victoria's jaw tightens, and her posture stiffens, as the cabin's atmosphere shifts palpably. When the crew's coldness threatened to engulf the cabin, the captain's voice cut through the tension. Authority stepped in, demanding professionalism, demanding care. The captain's calm but firm voice echoes over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have been made aware of a medical situation. I assure you, our crew is attending to it. I ask everyone to remain calm and allow us to handle the matter professionally. Victoria, standing near the galley, visibly stiffens at the announcement. Her eyes flick toward Maya, then quickly away, as if weighing her next move. Passengers settle slightly, but murmurs of concern linger. Maya feels a slight sense of relief but remains cautious. Alex lowers his phone, but keeps it ready. The cabin atmosphere shifts, hope mingling with uncertainty. Help arrived at last, but it was wrapped in cold duty rather than warmth. Maya's needs were met, but the bitterness lingered, a reminder that care shouldn't come with contempt. Victoria approaches Maya's seat, carrying a small cup of water and a packet of medication. Her expression remains stern, eyes flickering briefly with irritation. She sets the items on Maya's tray table with minimal grace, her tone clipped as she says, "Take these. You'll be fine." Maya nods softly, swallowing her pride along with the medication. Passengers watch silently, some exchanging looks of sympathy and quiet outrage. Victoria turns quickly, ready to move on, but a few passengers' disapproving gazes follow her retreating back. Maya sips the water slowly, her hands trembling slightly but her spirit quietly defiant. What began as quiet glances soon grew into murmurs, a wave of unspoken condemnation swelling beneath the cabin's hum. The passengers' patience frayed, and their silent sympathy began to transform into shared outrage. Passengers exchange uneasy looks, whispering softly but audibly enough to ripple through the nearby rows. A middle-aged woman leans in, her voice hushed but firm. "That poor girl didn't deserve this treatment. It's just wrong." A man sitting across the aisle nods in agreement, whispering, "I can't believe she was ignored for so long. It's unacceptable." Alex discreetly lowers his phone but keeps it ready, exchanging a meaningful glance with another passenger. The atmosphere thickens as murmurs grow louder, blending into a collective unease. Victoria, aware of the shifting mood, pauses near the galley, her posture stiff and eyes briefly meeting a few passengers. The tension is palpable, a quiet rebellion building inside the cabin. When tensions peaked and voices clashed, the captain's calm command cut through the storm. His words demanded respect, reminding all that safety and care must go hand in hand. The captain's voice sounds steady and authoritative over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, I understand concerns have been raised. Please remain calm and allow our crew to assist all passengers professionally. Your safety and well-being are our highest priorities." Victoria visibly stiffens at the announcement, exchanging a brief, tense glance with her colleagues. Passengers quiet down, some exchanging relieved looks, while others remain watchful. Maya breathes a bit easier, the captain's voice bringing a small measure of reassurance. Alex lowers his phone slightly but stays alert. The cabin's energy shifts, the tension eases but the awareness remains. When tensions peaked and voices clashed, the captain's calm command cut through the storm. His words demanded respect, reminding all that safety and care must go hand in hand. The captain's voice sounds steady and authoritative over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, I understand concerns have been raised. Please remain calm and allow our crew to assist all passengers professionally. Your safety and well-being are our highest priorities." Victoria visibly stiffens at the announcement, exchanging a brief, tense glance with her colleagues. Passengers quiet down, some exchanging relieved looks, while others remain watchful. Maya breathes a bit easier, the captain's voice bringing a small measure of reassurance. Alex lowers his phone slightly but stays alert. The cabin's energy shifts, the tension eases but the awareness remains. The moment for true care had arrived. Reluctantly, the flight attendant shifted her approach, moving from cold duty to genuine attention, though the wounds of neglect still lingered. Victoria approaches Maya's seat again, this time her expression softened just slightly, though her professional mask remains firmly in place. She kneels briefly to be at eye level, asking in a quieter tone, "What else do you need? I want to make sure you're okay." Maya nods gratefully, her voice steady despite exhaustion. "Thank you. Just some more water, please." Victoria fetches a fresh cup and hands it to Maya with a small, almost imperceptible nod. Passengers nearby watch the shift in attitude with cautious optimism. The cabin's mood lightens a little as murmurs turn to supportive whispers. Maya sips slowly, feeling a flicker of relief. In the wake of neglect, solidarity began to form. Passengers who once whispered now spoke up gently, offering comfort and strength. Maya was no longer alone, a quiet community had rallied around her. A middle-aged woman leans toward Maya's seat and offers a warm smile. "If you need anything, just let me know." A man nearby nods in agreement, adding quietly, "We're here for you." Alex, still holding his phone, lowers it and speaks softly to a group of passengers. "This isn't right, but together we can make sure she's safe." Maya glances around, feeling the shift, the growing warmth of support amidst the tension. The cabin buzzes quietly with conversations, many aimed at reassuring Maya. Victoria watches from a distance, her expression unreadable but noticeably tense. The atmosphere changes, from isolation to cautious hope. The wheels touch down, but the real journey had just begun. What happened on board was no longer a secret, whispers turned into stories, and stories into calls for change. Maya's ordeal became everyone's concern. The plane descends smoothly toward the airport, the city skyline growing clearer beneath the soft evening light. Passengers prepare to disembark, their faces a mix of relief and lingering tension. Maya sits quietly, her gaze fixed out the window, feeling the weight of what's happened. Whispers spread among passengers, many pulling out their phones, sharing videos and recounting the events. Alex uploads footage to social media, captions like, "Flight attendant ignores passenger's call for help. Watch what happens next." Conversations in the aisles buzz about the flight attendant's neglect and Maya's quiet bravery. Crew members keep to themselves, their demeanor subdued. The captain's voice over the intercom reassures passengers as they prepare to leave the plane. As the doors open, passengers move forward, many exchanging looks that speak volumes. This incident will not be forgotten. What was captured in silence exploded online. Videos shared, stories told, the airline's image cracked under the weight of truth. As pressure mounted, the company was forced to act, and the consequences rippled far beyond the cabin. Alex's video goes viral within minutes, shared by passengers and viewers worldwide. Comments flood in, expressing outrage over the flight attendant's neglect. Hashtags trend, hashtag flight neglect, hashtag justice for Maya. News outlets pick up the story, broadcasting clips and interviewing witnesses. The airline releases a statement expressing regret and promising an investigation. Maya receives messages of support from strangers around the globe. The company announces that the involved crew member is suspended pending inquiry. Passengers on board the flight share their relief and frustration on social media. Victoria faces internal scrutiny as reports of her behavior circulate widely. The airline's customer service lines are flooded with complaints. Maya's quiet courage becomes a catalyst for discussion about passenger rights. After the storm of voices, a calm invitation to healing. Maya's ordeal became a turning point, one that brought apologies, support, and the first steps toward recovery. Maya's phone rings early in the morning. The caller ID reads Airline Customer Care. She hesitates, then answers. A calm, sincere voice on the other end offers apologies for the flight attendant's neglect. "We deeply regret the experience you had on board and want to ensure you're supported. We're offering compensation and assistance as you recover." Maya listens quietly, appreciation softening her tone. "Thank you. It means a lot." Supportive messages from friends and strangers flood her inbox. She begins to reflect on the ordeal, the pain, the resilience, the unexpected kindness of fellow passengers. Small moments of peace start to replace anxiety. Maya sits by her window, the soft light filtering in as she looks toward a hopeful future. The world was watching, demanding more than words. The airline's silence shattered under the weight of outrage, forcing promises of change and accountability. News outlets intensify coverage, highlighting Maya's story and similar incidents. Social media campaigns push for stricter airline policies on passenger care and staff training. Advocacy groups join the chorus, calling for industry-wide reforms. The airline holds a press conference, announcing immediate suspension of the flight attendant and plans for enhanced sensitivity training. Executives pledge to improve reporting mechanisms and passenger support. Passengers from the flight publicly share their stories, amplifying the call for accountability. Maya watches news coverage, realizing her experience sparked a movement. Behind the scenes, airline staff undergo retraining sessions. Victoria faces disciplinary hearings, her future uncertain. From pain to power, Maya's journey inspired more than sympathy, it sparked change. Her courage echoed beyond the skies, touching lives and rewriting the rules. Maya begins speaking publicly about her experience in interviews and community forums. Her story encourages other passengers to share their own encounters with neglect or discrimination. Advocacy groups feature Maya as a spokesperson for better passenger rights. Airlines across the industry review and update their training protocols. Maya joins panels discussing diversity, inclusion, and customer care in travel. Her confidence grows, tempered by the knowledge her voice helped shift attitudes. She receives messages of thanks and solidarity from around the world. Behind her calm demeanor lies a fierce determination to ensure no one else faces what she did. Her voice, once silenced, now shapes the skies. Maya's courage fuels real reform, new policies, stronger protections, and a safer journey for all. Airline executives announced the implementation of mandatory sensitivity and medical emergency training for all flight staff. Passenger call systems are upgraded to ensure urgent alerts cannot be ignored. Regular audits are introduced to monitor crew responsiveness and passenger welfare. A new passenger advocacy hotline is established, staffed independently from airlines. Maya is invited to participate in advisory committees shaping travel industry standards. Media reports highlight the airline's commitment to change, while emphasizing the need for vigilance. Passengers express cautious optimism, encouraged by concrete steps taken. Victoria faces official reprimand and is removed from active duty pending further review. The journey wasn't over, though the skies looked clearer. Maya's fight became a beacon, reminding all that vigilance and courage are the wings of change. Maya sits quietly in her home, gazing out the window at a clear blue sky. She reflects on the ordeal, the neglect, the pain, the unexpected support. Her phone buzzes with messages from passengers, activists, and supporters. She drafts posts raising awareness about passenger rights and airline accountability. Maya attends meetings and forums, lending her voice to the growing movement. Though progress has been made, she knows the fight continues. Her resolve hardens. I'm not just a passenger. I'm a voice, and I won't be silent. The scene fades with Maya smiling softly, hope shining in her eyes. What started as a personal struggle ignited a wildfire. The world was watching, voices rising in unison, demanding justice, change, and accountability. Maya's story became a movement, and she stood at its heart, both burdened and empowered. Maya wakes early, sunlight filtering softly through sheer curtains. Her phone vibrates incessantly, buzzing with notifications from news outlets, social media, and messages of support. She scrolls through hundreds of comments, some praising her bravery, others sharing similar stories. News articles with headlines like "Passenger Neglected on Board Flight Sparks Outrage" and "Airline Faces Backlash After Ignoring Woman's Medical Call" dominate her feed. A friend calls, excitement and concern mixed in their voice. Maya, people everywhere are talking about you. You've sparked something huge. Maya exhales deeply, eyes heavy but resolute. I never wanted the attention, but if this helps others, it's worth it. Meanwhile, TV news anchors debate the incident, experts weigh in on passenger rights and airline responsibilities. This is a wake-up call for the entire industry, one analyst says. At home, Maya prepares for an interview with a major news network. She practices answering questions, her voice steady but filled with the weight of her experience. The camera crew arrives, and Maya's story unfolds in intimate detail, her ignored calls, the cold dismissal, the eventual help, and the wave of support that followed. After the interview, Maya reads messages from strangers thanking her, expressing solidarity, and sharing their own stories of neglect and discrimination. Despite exhaustion, Maya feels a profound sense of purpose. This isn't just about me anymore. It's about every passenger who's ever been invisible. The spotlight was unforgiving. Behind polished statements, the airline grappled with mounting outrage, forced to confront failure and promise real change. The public wasn't satisfied, and neither was Maya. The morning after Maya's interview, news outlets broadcast the airline's official statement. The CEO appears on screen, his tone formal but earnest. "We deeply regret the experience of our passenger and are committed to a thorough investigation. We have suspended the involved crew member pending review and are implementing enhanced training protocols to prevent future incidents." Social media explodes with reactions, some skeptical, many demanding accountability beyond words. Hashtags like #FlightSafetyNow and #RespectPassengers trend worldwide. At Maya's home, her phone lights up with messages from journalists, activists, and everyday people inspired by her story. Meanwhile, airline executives hold urgent meetings behind closed doors, reviewing policies and crisis management plans. Victoria, the flight attendant, faces internal inquiries, her future uncertain amid the backlash. Maya watches the unfolding events with cautious hope but knows the fight for real change is just beginning. Her thoughts echo. "Words mean little without action. I won't stop until this is more than promises." From the depths of personal struggle, Maya's voice soared, joining a chorus demanding dignity and respect for every traveler. Her courage became a beacon, inspiring change far beyond one flight. Maya steps onto a stage at a packed community center, the room buzzing with anticipation. Cameras flash as advocates, passengers, and activists gather to hear her story. Her voice is steady but filled with emotion. No one should feel invisible when they're asking for help. This is about respect, safety, and humanity on every flight. Audience members nod, some wiping tears, others raising fists in solidarity. She joins panels with airline officials and policymakers, pushing for reforms in staff training, emergency response, and passenger rights. Social media amplifies her message, hashtags trending, videos of her speeches shared widely. Passengers come forward, sharing similar stories, emboldened by Maya's bravery. Maya's phone rings constantly, invitations to speak, interviews, support from strangers worldwide. Despite exhaustion, she remains resolute, knowing this fight is bigger than herself. Her final words at one event echo through the hall. "We deserve better. We demand better. And together, we will have it." The ripple of one voice became a wave of reform. Airlines pledged change, but Maya knew real progress required vigilance, and she was ready to lead the charge. In a sleek conference room, airline executives sit around a polished table, nodding as new policies are presented. Training programs emphasizing empathy, medical awareness, and passenger rights are introduced. Passenger feedback systems are revamped to ensure concerns are addressed promptly. Maya is invited as a guest speaker at airline industry conferences, sharing her experience firsthand. Back at home, she reviews messages of thanks and stories of change inspired by her advocacy. Despite progress, Maya remains grounded, aware that one flight's story is just the beginning. She sits quietly by her window, sunlight warming her face, reflecting on how far she's come. Her thoughts settle. "This isn't just my story. It's a movement, and I'll keep fighting until every passenger is seen, heard, and cared for." From silence to strength, Maya's journey closed one chapter and opened another. Her story became a beacon, reminding the world that dignity and care belong to every traveler, always. Maya stands on a stage at a national passenger rights conference, the spotlight warm but steady on her. She speaks with conviction, eyes shining with determination. Every passenger deserves respect. No call for help should be ignored. Our voices can change the skies. The audience rises in a standing ovation, a wave of applause filling the room. Backstage, Maya takes a quiet breath, feeling the weight of her journey and the promise of the future. She pulls out her phone, scrolling through messages of support, stories of courage, and invitations to speak. Her lips curve into a small, hopeful smile. The screen fades to black with her words echoing softly. Together, we can make every flight safer, kinder, and more just.